FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue match preview against Norwich. Shortly, I'll be bringing my guest in, but before I do, just remember where you can find us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe. We're also on podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, wherever else that you get your podcast from. If you do listen to us and not watch us, please go and rate us 5 stars on there as well. This season, we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena, and we're also partnered this season, and hopefully seasons going forward as well, the Sky Blue Tavern in Coventry City Centre. We're also sponsored by Wright Steel Fabrications. His logo's in the corner. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. So my co-host Mark, who's normally with me, isn't available today, so it's just myself, and I will bring in my guest in nice and early, and it's Jez. How are you, Jez?
Hi, Stuart. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you very much for coming on at such short notice as well.
No problem at all.
It's much appreciated. So before we get into it then, Jez, if you can let us know what you do and where we can find you.
So this is the Beyond the Barkley podcast. It's a relatively new podcast for Norwich City fans, well, football fans in general, really. As I say, we started in October. The general premise is we interview Norwich fans about their experiences, past, present and future. We have now started our Beyond the South Stand mini-series where we discuss the upcoming games at Carrow Road with away fans like yourself, Stuart. Thank you very much for helping us out with that.
No, thank you very much for inviting us on. It was really good, to be fair. Thank you very much. Right, so your manager Jonas Hoff-Thorup.
Yep.
How's he getting on? How's things changed? Because obviously we played on earlier in the season at our place where we lost 1-0. How have things been getting on for you? How's Thorup getting on? Are the fans liking him? Tell us about what's going on.
So for me, it's a lot of fans see it as a replication of the Daniel Farke first season. So we had as you're probably aware, Daniel Farke, who is now manager of Leeds. We had him maybe 5 or 6 years ago. His first season with us, very much a transitional season. We finished 14th. We had to ship a few old players out, bring a few new players in. At the moment, it feels very similar to that. So I think a lot of Norwich fans have seen that in the past and are probably giving him a little bit of leeway at the moment in the terms that they've seen it happen previously. So they think, right, well, this is actually going to happen again. History is going to repeat itself a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't always work like that. The early signs are very good with Thorup, but he's completely revolutionised the way we've played football. We play very much on the front foot, very direct. The fullbacks come in and support the midfielders. It's a great way of playing. As we mentioned, we're talking about earlier on, very consistent. We've had a lot of injuries, we've had a lot of suspensions, and that's created a very inconsistent set of results. But to cut a long story short, very, very pleased with the start he's made, and I think it'll continue. Okay,
fair enough. So obviously you're saying that he's been direct. Was he direct at the start of the season? Did you feel? Do you think anything's changed to warrant being more direct?
He's had to use the tools he's got available in terms of obviously the players he's got now. We did bring about 6, 7, 8 signings in the summer. Yeah. You could see the route he was going to go down. So in terms of the quality of football, it wasn't there the opening game of the season against Oxford where we lost 2-0. However, since then, you can see what he's trying. Even in the games we lose, you can still see the plan and the way he's trying to set his team up. Yeah. Again, he's been very unlucky with injuries and suspensions, but there always seems to be that plan, available and what we're going to do.
Yeah, obviously we mentioned obviously our links on your podcast that we've had in the history of Coventry and Norwich. Obviously, we mentioned Mark Robins being a link there. We mentioned Huckabee, Dublin, Craig Bellamy, Sammy Klingon, to name just a few. Obviously, more recent was Callum Doyle. He got a little bit of a stick on a challenge at the CBS Arena that he did on Tats. People were saying that he was too aggressive. I thought it was a good challenge, to be fair. From where I was, that was right in my corner where I've got my season ticket. So I thought it was a fair challenge. Doyle's always been that combative centre half anyway, that like he was for us. How's Callum been getting on? Has he changed much since the start of the season?
Very capable, the player on the ball. He is, without doubt, probably our best defender that we've got in the club at the moment. He can also operate very well, or has operated very well at left back as well, accommodating Jose Cordoba, that's come in and played really well, and Shane Duffy, of course, that's had a really good season. No, I can certainly see why his progression. Obviously, he was at Leicester last year as well, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
You can see he's going to progress into a very useful Premier League footballer within the next 2 years. Wouldn't surprise me if someone like a Brentford or a Brighton take a punt on him next season.
Yeah, he obviously, when he was still at Coventry, he did sign a long-term deal at Man City. And he suffered quite a bad injury at Leicester as well that kept him out for pretty much a lot of that season, and then he didn't quite hit the heights as though he did, at Coventry. And obviously, we were at the playoff final with Doyle and McNally. McNally's now at Bristol City. But they say not to fall in love with loan players, but Callum Doyle was a player that I fell in love with. I thought he was absolutely brilliant on that left-hand side. But we had reminiscing slightly, I suppose, and going off the topic a little bit. But we had a good side compared to, I suppose, this season, if you like. We might have a better squad. First team 11 at the present, I'm not too sure on. Obviously, our last game. Did you happen to go to the last game at the CBS?
No, I watched it here.
Oh, did you watch it? Okay. How did you feel about that game? Yeah, it was. How did you feel about that game?
Yeah, I mean, again, very very early on in the season, wasn't it? So very early on in Thorpe's transformation of the team, I suppose. But I thought it was a great result. I mean, Coventry, off the back of a relatively good season the previous year, we felt it was going to be a tough game going into it, and actually we got a good result. From memory, was it 1-0?
1-0, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it was a deflected goal. I will get that in there as well.
Yeah, it was definitely. But no, I think any kind of result like that where we go away from home against a good side like Coventry, it's we take that. It was good. It was good for us.
Obviously, at the time as well, we had Mark Robins in charge. A lot's changed since our last game. We've got a couple of players out. We've got Hadji Wright out. And we've got Mason Clark out, who's been probably the standout player so far under Lampard. It's one of them. Obviously, you've got a few players out yourselves as well. You've got Fassinet out, Sorensen out, Liam Gibbs out, Gabe Forsyth out, Josh Sargent's out, and you might have Broza Signs out as well. He might be suspended. Are they going to be big losses? Any of them that likely going to be back for our game or not?
Well, Fashionat certainly won't, because he got sold to Young Boys yesterday. So he's gone. Oh,
right, okay.
Is who we brought him from as well. So yeah, he's out. And Forsyth, I think, is coming back from injury, but nowhere near. Sargent the same. I think he'll be about mid-Jan. Okay. Borgia Signs potential game suspension due to that incident at Sunderland that we talked about. Yeah. So I think all in all, Sargent's probably the one that out of the list that you gave us is probably the only one there that's currently injured. Should I say is the one that we would miss, if that makes sense?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sound. So obviously we are coming. We're in January now. Happy New Year to you, by the way. I didn't say
Happy
that at
New Year
the start.
Yeah.
What is a perfect January transfer window for Norwich?
Good question. I think it's very much continue what we've been doing in the previous transfer window and clearing out some deadwood, i.e. the likes of Grant Hanley, who hasn't kicked a ball since Oxford.
We'll take him, by the way.
Have him. I'll drive him up these. I'll drive him up them myself. But no, I think
maybe not.
Yeah, I think certainly that's the way forward. I mean, with Fashion, that's already gone. Ashley Barnes, who is as good a player as he used to be. He's not there now. He's come back off a sort of pretty bad injury.
Okay.
So I think those types of players to ship out, but then also to continue that development in terms of how we've brought players in over the summer. We're looking at, as I said, we're looking at Lewis Dobbin. There's a player whose name escapes me from the Polish leagues we're looking at as well, who's got Europa League experience, who we're looking at. So yeah, continue that kind of policy, I suppose, in January.
Okay. Is there anybody out there that you would like Norwich to bring in? Any names from Premier League or Championship, or even the lower leagues, because they get kind of missed out a little bit, don't they? Can you see anybody like that coming in?
No names that I can think of right this second. I mean, Martinelli is doing quite a good job at Arsenal at the moment, so maybe him. But that's dream world, isn't it? But no, I think So no, I think realistically, I think there's you're looking at probably some loans in the lower end of the Premier League. I mean, Dobbin coming from Aston Villa would be a good move. Okay, he hasn't done so well at West Brom, but it'd be good to see if he can do that at a different team.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be announced in the next couple of days. So that's a good start. So
okay.
We've got rid of one that isn't playing, and then bringing one in that's probably going to be part of the squad. So yeah. I think again, I don't have many more names than that really that I can give you, I'm afraid.
Okay, no, that's fine. I did put you on the spot a little bit anyway, so don't worry too much. That's fine. So how do you feel that this game's going to be won or lost on Saturday? Do you think it's very much a midfield battle? Whoever wins that kind of wins, or do you think it's going to be counter-attacking styles on both sides?
I certainly think it'll be a counter-attack type of game. I think set pieces is key, and Norwich has conceded 12 goals from set pieces this season. So, it's something we do need to improve on. So if Coventry are good at their set pieces, then they could do some damage. Equally, if Borja Signs is suspended, that could be key for Coventry as well. And also Norwich. I think if we can continue our home form, bar the two games we were talking about earlier, Burnley and Bristol City, I think we can certainly get a decent result as well. So there's a few sort of factors at play, really. Obviously, Lampard's come in as well, hasn't he? So he'll be looking to get a positive result there, which he did a few years ago when he was manager at Derby. So
yeah, hopefully he can bring that little bit of luck against teams that we don't normally get a good result against. So hopefully he can do that for us. I heard a stat in our. I was watching the Coventry Cardiff game on New Year's Day, and I think I heard a stat saying that Coventry have scored the most headed goals from set pieces in the league. So hopefully, like you mentioned there, set pieces might be key. So hopefully we can actually we can expose that a little bit, and hopefully we can capitalise and score. But the way that we've been playing recently hasn't been great. Whether Lampard just hasn't got the tools available for the way that he wants to play. And it'll be interesting to see who he actually brings in January. Obviously, you've mentioned Lewis Dobbin coming in potentially before our game. We've been told that nobody's coming in before our game against you. So we are where we are. There's going to be no new names or faces. Having said that, Raphael, who a player that we signed in the summer, got a bit of an injury and he didn't really feature, and he's just been building up his fitness. He might be available. He came on for about 5 minutes against Cardiff, didn't touch the ball. because of an injury to Tats Sakamoto. So Tats might be out. So it might be an opportunity for Raphael to come in, who's an unknown to us just as much as he is to you as well. So that'll be interesting. I've heard that he is good, he's quick. So hopefully he can cause a few problems and show what he's about as well. So that would be quite nice. That's like a new signing, if you like, I would imagine as well for us. So that's good. So moving on to us then, Jez. What threats do you see from us? Obviously, I've mentioned a few people already, but what threats do you see from us? Any questions that you want to ask us?
Yeah, so I mean, again, I think you've got to talk about set pieces. So if you've got any tall centre backs who can come up and cause us issues, and with some clever movement, that will certainly cause us issues. Free kicks again. I mean, we went away to QPR just over a month ago, and two of their goals were from free kicks. So they've whipped a free kick in, and they're a quicker player that's reacted quicker than our defence has stolen and scored. So for me, that's certainly a worry or a thing that I could see Coventry getting at us. I suppose in terms of the players that you mentioned earlier, Hadji Wright, was it?
Yeah, Hadji Wright. Yeah, he's out injured at the minute.
And then the other player whose name escapes me.
Mason Clark.
Mason Clark, that's right. Who would you see that would come in and replace those players, or who has come in and replaced those players?
Well, Rodoni's been covering really for Mason Clark on the left-hand side, and Torp's come in and got into the middle where Rodoni would normally occupy. Not quite worked out to the way that they want, but Brandon Thomas Asante has come on. He should have really scored probably against Cardiff to make it 2-1. But they went down to 10 men, and they were very much holding up the ball, and they were 9 players behind the ball and trying to get us on the counter attack, and we just struggled to break them down. We had a couple of opportunities where Sims should have scored one, and Asante should have scored one as well, really. But yeah, we've got a striker called Bassett. I quite like him. I think he's going to be a really good player. A little bit in the Vic mould, but very much a lot rawer than what Vic was. But I think he's about 2-3 years younger than Vic. And, I can see elements of his game being really, really good. But at the minute, it's just like he's running around like a bit of a headless chicken, not doing too much. And as a striker, you're there to score goals. And at the minute, I think he's only scored 1 or 2 in about 5 or 6 games that he's started. So he needs to build that up. But like I said, he's very quick. He runs the channels really well. So if your defence is a little bit slow and a little bit sluggish, he might be, if he starts, he might be able to catch you out. But like I said, if he decides to play Asante's quick as well, and Raphael on the other side, and give Torp a rest and bring Rodoni back into the centre, I think we might catch a few more problems out for you. Obviously, we've got Milan Van Ewijk that's our right back, that's very quick and rapid. If he can overlap whoever's on that right hand side and get the ball over, again, he could cause you problems as well. So we've got the ability to do it, but like I've said many a time on our podcast before, and our Twitter space and things like that, inconsistency is the word. Right from Stoke at the first game of the season, it's just been inconsistent. So hopefully Lampard can start turning things around a little bit. Our performances haven't been great, but we have picked up the odd draw and the odd win within that time frame as well. So that would be quite good to just carry that on. If we can get a win, a draw against you guys, and then win our next home game, it's not going to be as bad, but if we lose this game and then we lose our next game, you're really down there fighting a relegation fight, really, and that's where you don't want to be. So the performances have got to get better, but we'll just have to wait and see. So Going into a prediction then, Jez. I don't know if you're one for predictions or not. Can I get one out of you?
I don't mind a prediction at all. So I think it'll be 2-1 to Norwich. I think you'll score because, as I mentioned earlier on about our troubles with set pieces, I think that will be where your goal comes from. But I think as long as Signs is playing, this is the prediction with Signs in the team. We'll be. Yeah, I think we'll get a couple. Our home form's been very good, so that's what that's based on, really. So yeah, what about yourself?
Are you just before I do my prediction? Are you likely to get an answer on Signs before our game?
Well, we're sitting Thursday at the moment, aren't we? I mean, believe it or not, for the Kenny McLean one, we found out. I think they found out 2 hours before kickoff against Portsmouth about his ban. So it could be any time between now and 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, I suppose, when we find out whether Signs will be banned. But I think if we hear anything, it'll be tomorrow.
Okay. Can I get a prediction out of you if Signs isn't playing then?
Let's go for a draw.
Fair enough. I am one for predictions, but I'm not one for the worst I'll ever do is a draw. I'll never bet against us because it's just not in my nature. I'm always try to be as optimistic as I possibly can.
Got to be in, yeah.
It's always a tough game when we play Norwich. You're a good football inside, and hopefully that will play into our hands because teams that we've played recently, Cardiff, Millwall, they've all been very defensively set up minded. So if you guys start passing it around, I feel that we'll play to how you play, and we've got the players that can cause damage. So hopefully we can do that. But saying that, it is always a tough game. So I am going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm not going to give you a goal scorer because I'm not bothered who scores the goals at this precise minute. I just want us to start winning games, really. But I am going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for joining me.
No,
before I let you go, I do quick fire questions. Now, obviously, I have had another Norwich podcast in the first one come on. So I'm going to ask you the same questions, but obviously I've got nothing to refer to. But if I can get you on next season, maybe, we can maybe refer to it and see if anything's changed and to see what you feel is different about Coventry City, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good.
So if you can, just one-worded answers, but don't worry if it goes into a sentence or anything like that.
Okay.
So the first one is player to look out for Norwich City.
Borja Steins.
Okay. If he isn't available?
Emiliano Marcondes.
Okay, fair enough. Where will Cov finish?
9th.
Okay, so you've still got us in the top 10 then. I'll have that. I'll take that. Where will you finish?
12th.
Wow, okay. And one player that you'd take from Coventry City?
Mason Clark.
Mason Clark. Okay, interesting. Just to let you know that the other podcast, I won't name it, obviously, because we're talking to you, but they said Ben Sheaf. But this was at the start of the season. Obviously, things have changed since then. It's gone a little bit off the boil, but hey-ho. Hopefully, we get the real Ben Sheaf back on Saturday against you guys.
Yeah.
So again, thank you very much for joining me. Before I do let you go, just let us know where we can find you and what you do again.
So once again, it's Beyond the Barclay. We're a Norwich City podcast. Have fans on who talk about past, present, and future experiences. We've had the occasional player on as well, and also some away fans like yourself that do visit Carrow Road. We have those guys on as well. You can find us on all social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, and X. And you can also watch the show on YouTube.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that's it from us. Thank you very much. Just remember where you can find out all things Sky Blue. We are on X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Please go and like and subscribe if you watch us on YouTube. If you listen to us on podcasts, please rate us 5 stars. You can find us on all podcast platforms as well: Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. We're sponsored by Right Still Fabrications, and we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena and the Sky Blue Tavern in town. So once again, Jez, thank you very much for joining me. Good luck for the rest of the season, apart from Saturday, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And those that are going, safe journey to Carrow Road, and bring back the 3 points and hopefully a better performance. Thank you very much. Play up Sky Blues.